Hello students, welcome to my next lecture. Today we are going to talk about personal selling in industrial marketing. I Dr. Rohan Prabhakar Devare welcome you all. Learning objectives for today's session. After reading and learning this session, you will be able to know the advantages and disadvantages of personal selling. Appreciate the selling process and the role of salesperson in the entire process. You will understand the qualities of a successful salesperson, know how to effectively manage a sales force, and management of industrial sales force. Introduction. Personal selling is one of the oldest form of promotion. It involves the use of sales force who orally communicates in the face-to-face mode about the company's products or services to the potential buyers with an intention to make a sale. Personal selling is a primary demand stimulating force in the industrial marketer's promotional mix. Its role is very dominant in the industrial markets because of less number of potential customers present compared to the consumer markets and the large amount of money purchased involved. As the cost per sale through personal selling is too high, industrial marketers have to carefully manage and integrate personal selling into organization marketing mix. This will also lead to maximize the effectiveness and efficiency. The job of personal selling starts after determining the target segment in the organization's market. The sales force in the most of the industrial organizations follow the system selling approach where they recognize the entire problem faced by their buyers and offer them total solutions rather than just selling the product. This is advantageous to the industrial buyers as all their problems are solved in a single go by one party who would take the responsibility if anything goes wrong. The industrial marketers too have competitive advantage by adopting this strategy. Now we'll see few of the advantages and disadvantages of personal selling together. There are many advantages of personal selling that help an organization to promote the products effectively and increase the sales. Some of the advantages are personal selling is one-to-one activity where customers get personal attention. This gives an opportunity to understand the customer needs better and make an effective sale. The marketing manager can customize the sales message accordingly and depending upon the needs and types of customer. As there is two-way communication process in personal selling, the sales team has a good opportunity to respond directly and promptly to any of the customer's queries and concerns. Personal selling helps in passing on large amount of technical data and other complex product information to the customers. This indirectly educates the customers and updates them on the latest happening on the industry, company and new products. Personal selling gives the sales force a chance to demonstrate the product effectively and clarify any doubts on the spot. Frequent meetings between sales force and customers provide an opportunity to build long-term relationship. Apart from advantages, there are certain disadvantages of personal selling, like the cost of employee a sales force, that is recruitment and maintaining is expensive. In addition to the basic pay package, they need to be offered incentives in order to achieve the sales. Other supplementary support to make the sales call like car, travel, mobile phone, etc. also adds cost, also adds on to the entire cost. In addition, a salesperson can meet only one customer at a time that makes it costly affair of reaching a large audience. Besides, cost it is a time-oriented promotion method. Therefore, if that time orientation is less, it is not recommended. Now we'll see the selling process and the role of salesperson. There are steps that are involved in a selling process, and the salesperson has a significant role to play in each of these steps. It is the role of salesperson that helps the organization to increase its sales and reach its objectives. It therefore becomes important to understand their role during each of these steps in order to further enhance their performance and clinch any deal successfully. First is prospecting. Prospecting is the first step in the sales process that refers to identifying a list of potential organizational buyers. There are various sources from which salesperson get the list of prospective buyers. Some of the sources include referral, directories, commercially available databases, or email list, company sales record, and in-house databases, public records, trade shows, and a wide variety of other sources. The salesperson have systematically structure the prospecting activities in order to identify only those potential customers who fit the profile and have genuine interest to buy the product or service. What is the qualifying prospect? Identifying the prospective customer is followed by verifying whether the firm has the willingness, purchasing power, and authority to enter into the deal. The firm's credit rating in the commercial market may be a criteria of reliability in this case. The business authority or buying authority may rest with some committee or an executive. One must identify individuals in DMU or buying center who is influential. The buying agent may be having the authority to buy, but what requires to bought may be depend on the actual firm's recommendation. Next step is pre-approach. Pre-approach is the step that brings confidence in the sales individual, maybe group or team, who is supposed to make the presentation. It is learning about the need and expectation of the firm thoroughly. This involves probing into the product or past product usage and pattern of usage, the present product use and the pattern of use, competition or competitors and the firm's image regarding the product to be offered. Finding out the clue influences, interest, activities, habits, psychology are part of this step. Third step is presentation. Having done the pre-approach, the salesperson or team can now design the sales representation that will attract the prospect's attention. The salesperson design the presentation to attract the attention of the target audience. There are various approaches, the most common being AIDA, that is attention, interest, desire, and action. I will repeat again, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action, is normally recommended. The team is expected to hold the prospect's attention, build interest of the prospect, then develop a desire, and at the right time attempt to change the attitude to a behavior of purchase. A few words about each will give good for the understanding purpose. So these three approaches are attract attention, hold interest and arouse desire, and meet the objectives. So I will elaborate all these three concepts. First is attract attention, that is approach. The main function of the presentation is to attract the prospect's attention and generate curiosity in the target audience. In cases where the prospect is aware of need in terms of maybe solution, it is not sufficient to qualify a product and then the trade name. It would mean something more unique for the interest to grow. This may reflect not the features, not only the benefits of relevance to the target audience. Hold interest and arouse desire. Following the interest that has been built in the target audience, one would prefer to work upon developing a desire for the product. There is no universal method to do so, but engaging the target audience into higher level of involvement bring desire. Therefore, many a time the audience is involved in the demonstration session or the seminar session to develop the desire. The mode of interaction could be in a continuum of structure or structure to unstructured. The extreme point of the structure being memorized and the other non-structure the need solution. The telemarketing being a case of memorized presentation. Last is meet objectives. After this step, the sales team or person would like to solicit the action from the target audience, that is behavioral action. The step starts with the presentation at the end stage, probing into this domain through the trail clues to test whether the target audience have made up their mind to purchase the product or not. One common method is using either/or question to understand the readiness of the buyers for a positive sales action. For example, would you sir prefer the installation today or a later day? A later day would indicate more work on trial close and speaking out the doubts or objectives of the buyers. This could be possible through further presentations, questioning, and further information. Again, unspoken or implied or in between lines of sales should be spelled out. Nonetheless, encouraging the target audience to state the objectives would be a positive aspect of selling. Handling of objectives should be met with the further trail close and then close the final. It becomes a iterative process in most of the cases. Fourth is closing the sale. This is a stage of closing customers' resonance by emphasizing on the following, that is given on the PPT. Summarizing the product's benefit after the purchase, repeating why the product is better than alternatives not chosen, describing how satisfied other buyers have been with the product, and emphasizing how satisfied the customer will be with the product. Post-sale services. A value deal is not the one which is one-time transaction. It must open up time and space for the future sale. The final stage of selling process is a series of post-sale activities that can be built customer, goodwill and consumer branded community. A committed sales team or salesperson will ensure that no problem occurs in the physical delivery, installation, financing, and employee training. The industrial marketers should provide their customers with efficient service from the point of sale till the goods are delivered and also after the post-sale. Many of the salespeople often overlook the servicing or follow-up aspect, which is very important part of selling process. It helps to maintain a good and long-term relationship with the customer and gives supplementary revenue to the organization. After an order is received, it is the best interest of everyone involved, that is, the salesperson should follow up with the prospect. This ensures that product was received by the customer in good condition at right time with proper installation and at the place as required by the customer. It also ensures whether adequate training or product usage was given to the customer before they handle the delivered product or equipment. The salesperson should confirm through the following. whether the entire process was acceptable to the customer. This is a critical step in creating customer satisfaction and building long-term relationship with the customer. If the customer experience any problems during the process, the sales professional should take the responsibility to intervene and become the advocate of the customers to ensure their satisfaction. This has the probability of leading to new needs, additional purchases, and also referrals and testimonials which can be used as sales tools. Now we'll see what are various qualities of successful salesperson. Any salesperson, in order to be successful, should possess the following qualities that would help them to reach high in their career path. They should have the following qualities that are displayed on the PPT. Very good knowledge about the products. Here, the product also means the products and services. Zeal to give an effective presentation to the customers, ability to clinch the orders deals fast, ensuring prompt and quality service to the customers, good listening skills to understand the customer's requirement better, inviting more questions from the customers and handling objections by giving convincing answers, organizing the place of work in a better way, having wide contracts within the industry, creating good impression and getting more business. Though there are many other qualities that a successful salesperson should possess, these are most preferred ones by the industrial organization. How to do the sales force management and what is the concept? Sales force management is one of the important tasks for industrial marketing managers, where they take great care in selecting the right personnel who can help them to increase their sales. They also give their sales team proper product training, supervise their performance, frequently motivate them by offering the compensations, and at the same time control the expenses incurred. There are various steps that are involved during the sales force management that include selecting the sales personnel, then training, after that supervision, then motivation, compensation, then expense control, and so on. So we'll see one by one. First is selecting the sales personnel. Personal selling starts with selecting the salesperson who acts as representative of an organization. They help to create an image and reputation of the company apart from increasing the sales by offering various products and services to the industrial buyer. In addition to giving the details on product features to their prospective buyers, they offer other services like technical assistance, recommendations, ideas, and sharing their experience. They also possess the skills that are required to negotiate with the professional buyer, handle huge sales volume, understand the customer's need, and solve their technical problems. At times, the salesperson represents the buyers, wherein after understanding the needs, they pass on their requirements to research and development department or the production personnel who are suggested to manufacture the products as per customers' needs. All these call for careful and proper selection of the salesperson. The selection process is based on the personal profile of the candidates, the sources available to get the right candidate, and use of various selection aids. Personal profile. There are certain characteristics features that are ideal candidate for selection of the industrial sales force should possess. Most of the industrial organization look for these common characteristics because of the nature of their business and kind of selling that is involved. The prospective salesperson should be a self-starter, well-disciplined, God-represented, innovative, sound with the product technicalities, persistent, adaptable to the situations, friendly, and considerate, honest, well qualified, etc. All these qualities give them a priority and preferences to get shortlisted for the next process of selection. What are various sources of the candidates? To get good candidates with required qualities, the industrial marketers depend on various sources. Some of the sources include publication, institutes, references, placement agencies, and so on. So publication means various business newspapers, trade magazines, institutions may be engineering and management colleges for campus placements. References includes existing sales force, customers, suppliers, other departments, employees of the organization. Placement agencies include headhunters.com portals, recruitment consultants, and so on. Sometimes candidates imply walk-in. If the company is reputed, one just have to try their luck or just keep their database with the HR department of the company. Selection aids. When a candidate has to be shortlisted, there are various aids used by the industrial organization that help them to select the best personnel. Some of the aids they rely on are candidates' formal application, that is, resume, biodata that gives their qualification, experience, and other details. That can be test that test the candidate's technical or sales knowledge, maybe references that provide confidential reports, performance, aptitude report about the candidate. This also helps to check the credentials of the candidate. Interviews, where candidate's personality is judged, and an appraisal created based on the impression created by him. Next part is training. The main objective of any organization is to improve the sales, then increase the service levels, and build the image of the company and its product. Training plays crucial role in this aspect for many of the industrial organizations. It helps them to do effective sales by spending considerable time and money training their salesperson frequently. It is very essential in the competitive world that the salesperson and salespeople must be effective in discharging their duties by learning new ongoing new ongoing techniques. Any good sales training program content will have product information, market information, company's information, company's promotional activities, competitor information, and selling skills. We'll elaborate each and every aspect. First is product information, where sales people are given complete details of the product line, their features, so that they can easily explain and address the customer's queries. Next is market information, where salesperson are provided with complete information of customers and competitors, their needs, behaviors, strengths, weaknesses, strategies, etc. Company's information, where salespeople are informed about the company's history, objectives, organizational structure, key person, complete details of company's performance during the last few years and future plans as well. Company's promotional activities, where salespeople are updated on the various promotional activities a company is carrying out, like the promotional schemes, discounts, and any other offers. Competitor information, the product range of competitor along with selling focus and their negotiation skills must be discussed with the salesperson so that this orientation will help the sellers to formulate strategy. Once one finds the firm is tied up with some competitors, goods or services. Last is selling skills. This is very important for salesperson. They learn to develop the selling skills, sales representation, negotiation skills, and CRM, that is customer relationship management. Usually, a sales trainee is trained generally by a branch manager or his supervisor. There are different methods training that can be used like lectures, case discussion, group presentation, individual presentation, role plays, business games, product demonstration, personal counseling, on-job training, etc. The training process has to continue until the trainee becomes perfect in his job. It is said to be successful only when the actual sales achieved by the trainee after the training is more than what he was achieved before the training. Supervision. Salesforce is directed to perform the selling job in accordance with the marketing objective and sales policies of the company. Supervision is the prime responsibility of the branch manager or the immediate supervisor to whom the salesperson reports. They have the sales and sole responsibility of guiding day-to-day activities of the salespeople, that is task assignment, boosting their morale, maintaining cordial and healthy working atmosphere, allocating territory to each salesperson, evaluating the sales and revenue in a particular location, etc. The other supervisory activities of the sales supervisor includes communicating and implementing company's policies and strategies, counseling on problems and deficiencies of the sales force, inability of sales and techniques of the selling under the special circumstances, establishing standard of performance both through formal setting of goals or targets and setting an example for others to follow, creating a favorable work environment and working relationship with salesperson, continuous training and development of sales representatives, and clarifying the responsibility or expectation clearly to the salespeople. Motivation. Motivation is the process of arousing and sustaining a goal-directed behavior induced by the expectation of satisfying individual needs. Since most of the salesperson are held or in the field away from the supervisor and colleagues, they experience fluctuations in their morale and motivation because of the negative responses from the customers and frustrations. It is very important for the sales force to have high morale as it helps them to achieve sustained high level of performance. This sometimes requires the intervention of the sales supervisor who should express their confidence in the salesperson's ability and continuously keep guiding and advising them. Motivation also calls for maintaining simultaneous discipline when poor performance of the salesperson is due to their negligence. The motivation is developed through techniques of monetary and non-monetary incentives, and this is based using mostly the model of Maslow need hierarchy theory. One has to understand that while implementing them, there has to be two factors, the hygiene factor and the motivators. This is based on Hasbrook theory. Once the hygiene incentives have been inducted and the salesperson report satisfaction on them, there remains no point further increasing them as a sales productivity is likely to increase. This has to be followed with inputs from the motivating factors, and then only higher sales productivity will be recorded. Again, one must appreciate that improvised inputs of hygiene factor will lead to reduced sales performance. Compensation. Sales compensation is given to attract and motivate the salespeople to excel in their job. For a sales compensation to be effective, it should give certain degree of financial security or stability to the salesperson that should be related to what they do. It should be on par with the market, and the salesperson should be able to understand it easily and clearly. As industrial sales are uneven with huge orders at erratic intervals, the logical and ideal method of compensation of sales force is generally by paying straight salary. Since the job of salespeople involves lot of machinery work before closing any sale, they are paid commissions and bounce part from their regular fixed salary. Other compensations offered to them consist of various incentives that indirectly motivates them to increase their sales figure. Whenever a salesperson is compensated, it has four components attached to it. The important one is the fixed amount, which is the basic stable income he receives, followed by the variable amount like the commission, incentives, etc. The third component offered as perks or fringe benefits include the leave travel assistance, medical reimbursements, personal or group insurance schemes, pension or superannuation schemes, saving in income tax at higher salary, etc. Their travel and other expenses like boarding, lodging, entertainment expenses that are given as per the company policy come under the reimbursements or expense allowance. As these expenses are reimbursed based on their actual expenditure incurred, this should not be strictly considered under the sales compensation. A company offers different type of compensation plan to its employee. These are direct salary, direct commission, bonus, and incentive. Direct salary. It is a fixed amount paid to the employee every month for his work. This is generally offered to such kind of employees who are not in sales related jobs. Direct commission. Commission is based on the value of sales volume, where certain percentage of sales revenue is given. This is generally offered to the agents and brokers along with the salespeople. Bonus. They are based on sales volume or the profit of the company. They are generally given either half yearly or yearly. Incentives. A monetary benefit paid to the company to the employees who invest extra efforts to achieve the additional sale. Combination of sales and incentives, combination of sales and perks, combination of sales plus incentives plus perks. Different companies adopt different combinations of remunerating their employees, but the compensation of the sales force commonly comprises of a salary along with the perks and incentives. Expense control. There are certain expenses which the salesperson incur and the company needs to compensate them in order to keep their morale. Though expense account is not part of the compensation system, it affects the salesperson enthusiasm if they are not reimbursed with the amount. A tight expense account makes the salesperson to bear some expenses from their regular compensation, while a liberal one will give them an additional source of income. The various expenses covered by an expense amount include traveling, lodging and boarding, and customer entertainment, etc., that are incidental to living away from the home. There are different methods of controlling an expense amount of salesperson, like the automatic allowance, per diem allowance, and reimbursement. Now we'll talk about automatic allowance. In this method, whatever expenses salesperson incur, they have to spend out on their regular compensation that contains an increment to cover such expenses. This method is beneficial to the company as paperwork and maintenance of records are limited. But it is also has a disadvantage as the company will not know how much incentives or increment should be added to the salary to cover the expenses. Even the salesperson will not spend liberally as he has to spend money from his own packet that indirectly affects the sales. Next concept is per diem allowance. When a salesperson is given some fixed amount per day or per mile of traveling or per kilometer of traveling, such allowance is called as per diem allowances. This is to take care of the missionary work done by the salesperson for the company. This method has a disadvantage of difficulty in determining the amount of money to be paid, and the salesperson may also not spend the actual amount. Reimbursement. Whatever expenses a salesperson incur during his sales process, like making telephone calls, traveling, hotel expenses, etc., are claimed by him or her in the form of reimbursement. For claiming this, he has to maintain a detailed expense amount and submit it to the supervisor. This has an advantage of salesperson spending more or close a sale. Management also can audit the same and review the expenditure incurred and control them. The best way to expense control is to avoid the expense cooking done by the salespeople where they claim more than what they actually incur. Though it is essential in industrial sales due to high income levels, managers need to have effective control over it. Some control measures include imparting proper training, making them aware of the company policies, counseling them on ethics and morals values, etc. Deployment of industrial sales force. Deployment of sales force involves taking certain decisions like what should be the size of the sales force, how the territory has to be designed, how the selling effort has to be organized and allocated. Sales force plays a vital role in industrial marketing as they help in proliferation of the marketing concept. Their ability to negotiate in this field and their search for new way of marketing the products what makes them best people to judge the various alternative methods as they deal with potential customers. They have immense talent of negotiating and coordinating with various departments and also the ability of effectively using the existing products in alternative ways. Their ideas and suggestions plays an important role in developing, improving, and customizing the existing products. Industrial selling environments. As industrial selling is specifically to organizational buyers who exhibit varied behaviors during the buying process, the industrial environment becomes more complex. This necessitates the industrial marketers to respond to such environment with proper planning, organizing, influencing and controlling their sales efforts. They need to identify their potential buyers and the main decision maker among them, gives them a sales representation, and then develop a continuous rapport. A typical buying process entails more than one organizational members who provides input into decision making. Though a specialist or an agent is given the buying responsibility, they get influenced in the process. Their internal environment of the organization, like the production, marketing, finance, etc., the external environment, like the government, technological changes, etc., play a vital role in influencing their behavior. Next concept is deciding on the size of the sales force. It is very important to have an ideal sales force team as it directly affects the company sales and cost. Most of the companies follow the workload approach method to determine the sales force size. There are various methods of deciding on the size of sales force. These are namely the following: judgmental method, incremental method, sales potential method, and workload method. A few words about each will be worth enriching the students. Judgmental method is said to have been used when a veteran salesperson has been requested to state the size based on his or her experience. Such salesperson use a heuristic approach is calculating a volume of business in terms of units or volume based on his experiential learning, and then opinionates the number of salespeople to be required. The incremental method, the approach states that the total business market is fixed for any territories or fixation of additional salesperson should be viable as long as incremental profit flows. The point at which the incremental profit becomes negative, the recruitment of salesperson should be stopped. The incremental profit is the concept of marginal profit, that is marginal revenue, marginal cost. This method is applicable in a trading unit or trading situation which is existing. Sales potential method deliberates that on an average a salesperson is able have a certain productivity, and this when has to address the total potential of sales. Considering the sales force turnover will state the size actually required. We can see the formula: n is equal to, that is number, n is equal to s divided by p plus t into bracket s divided by t. It is simplified to n is equal to, that is the sales force turnover that will state the size actually, that is equal to s divided by p into bracket 1 plus t, where s is potential sales of the territory or area in a period of time. P is average productivity per person or per salesperson in a period of time. T is percentage of salesperson turnover. The workload method states that workloads are based on the categories of customers, and this total workload in a specific period of time is summated. Again, the average time available to the salesperson considering the selling activity in a specific period of time is also calculated. The total workload in terms of hour in a span of time, say an year, 6 months, or a month, is divided by average selling time available per person per salesperson considering the similar period. This would lead to the output of the size of the sales force required to complete that workload in that specific time period. Designing the sales territory. The industrial marketers has to decide on the sales territory to avoid any conflict between the sales force by avoiding their entry into each other's territory and grabbing the business. Territory is defined by the smallest business unit that can be assigned a target and controlled. Incidentally, the territory by default become a geographical dimension. The designing of sales territory comprises of following steps. First, a basic geographical location that controls the entire operations is selected. This is generally a major city or a town where more of industries are located. Secondly, a market survey is conducted by the marketing manager to determine the sales potential of each control unit. Thirdly, the geographical control units are combined into approximate sales territories as discussed in previous paragraph. Finally, after determining any difficulties faced by the sales force in covering certain areas, necessary adjustments are done. Then the final sales territories are decided. Organizing and allocating of sales force. Sales force is organized based on different parameters such as location, product, customer group, sales, resource, opportunity grid, etc. So we'll talk about each and every aspect. Locations. Locations are defined as a part of geographical area. It is easy for salesperson to look after sales in a particular location and spend considerable time in making calls by improving the rapport with the potential customers. Next is product. When a salesperson has some expertise in some specific category of product or a few product and even a single product, then he would be used to market just that particular product. This type of specialization is adopted with products that are technically complex, where the salesperson can influence the buyer easily. Though this way of organizing the sales force is quite expensive for the organization, it has to take care to avoid certain things like duplication of sales calls, where two or more salesperson try to meet the same buyer in different times. That is very common in this. Customer groups. The sales force in this type is structured based on the customer segment they serve. This helps the salesperson to understand their customers' needs better, understand their buying behavior, the key decision makers, thus catering to the needs of such customers. Sales resource opportunity grid. One more method used by marketing managers to allocate sales force is to various customers or territories. It's called as sales resource opportunity grid. A portfolio or planning and control units, that is PCU, consist of products, customers, potential buyers, or territories that are the opportunities in terms of sales potential for the industrial marketers. The sales resource strength includes the number and length of sales calls per visit, number of salesperson, and percentage of salesperson's selling time. That is the competitive advantage or strength of the company within PCU, that is planning and control units. The grade, I will just show you the grade. The grade in this particular given figure helps the marketing managers to allocate the salesperson based on the opportunities available from the PCU. After assessing the optimality of Salesforce deployment decision across PCUs, it helps him to modify the size of his sales force, make changes in the sales territories, deciding in the allocation of the sales calls. PCU opportunity we have seen on the y-axis and sales revenues strength, that is shown on the x-axis. So sales resource strength can be high or low. Similarly, planning and control units opportunity also can be high and low. So in this particular sales source opportunity grid, we can see if the planning and control unit opportunity is high and sales resource strength is also high, as PC offers high opportunity, assign high level of sales resource to take the advantage. Simply there are four quadrants. You can pause the video and you can read the figure. Dyadic interactions. There is a process of exchange between the industrial buyer and the seller in an industrial selling environment. The salesperson exchange their ideas, share information with the potential buyers, thereby assisting them to meet their requirements of purchase decisions. The individual's perception of both the parties about each other establish some kind of boundaries in the interaction process. The negotiation process starts during the interaction where the plans, goals, needs and intentions of the buyer and the salespersons are discussed. It should be the endeavor of the marketers that they meet the requirements of the buying organization through their sales force and develop relationship, trust and cooperation over a period of time, thus creating a dyadic interaction. With this, we are coming to the last part, that is summary. Personal selling is use of the company's sales force to sell the products to the potential organization buyers by using various strategies. It is one of the important promotional activity. Personal selling has an advantage of meeting customer directly, customizing the message as per the buyer's requirement, providing them huge data relating to the company or product, demonstrating the product effectively, and building long-term relationship. Its disadvantages include being very costly affair due to various expenses involved in it. A salesperson has several roles to play in each of the sales process in order to convert a prospect into a customer. To achieve the sale, he needs to have various qualities that help him to understand his customers' needs better, provide them with the required products, and continue the relationship even after the sales. The important task for a sales manager is to manage the sales force. They need to select the right personnel, train them effectively, supervise their activities, and continuously motivate them by providing compensation and other benefits with simultaneous control over them as well as the cost. The individual sales force needs to be deployed perfectly as the industrial environment is very complex. The marketers needs to decide on the size of the sales force, design the sales territory, allocate the sales force, and maintain Dyadic interactions with the customers. Few questions for self-assessment. What is sales promotion? Why do industrial marketers go for it? What is the different methods of sales promotion? What are the advantages and disadvantages of trade shows? How does a seminar, a sales contest, and entertainment act as sales promotion tool? How does publicity helps in industrial marketers? Public relation acts as a tool for effective marketing. Can you explain this statement? What is direct marketing? What are the main methods of direct marketing? Discuss them. So these are self-assessment questions. With this, we end the session. I wish you all the best for your studies.